What's going on, guys, and welcome to another Doctor Who Classic Review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 4th Doctor Tom Baker story, The Robots of Death. This is a 4-part story from Season 14, which is Tom Baker's 3rd season as the 4th Doctor. It's also the first season to star Louise Jameson as Leela, and this is actually only her 2nd story. She kind of came through halfway through the season. Sarah Jane left and Leela started, so this is actually Leela's 2nd story. And yeah, it's the 3rd season for Tom Baker. Now the reason I'm doing this one, I didn't actually plan to do this episode next. I plan to do another episode which I will talk about at the end of this video. But somebody commented on one of my recent videos, I think it was actually my previous classic review on the 3 Doctors. And he said that he'd love to see me review The Robots of Death and Genesis of the Daleks. Well, The Robots of Death was one that I was getting to. I do also have Genesis of the Daleks, however it's probably going to be a while till I review that one. I've had that DVD for ages, one of the first DVDs I've got. I'm kind of currently just going through the DVDs that I'm getting now. And this is one of the ones that I'm getting. I already have it. But yeah, I wasn't planning on doing this one yet, but because he said he wanted it, I thought, you know what, let's do it. So we are reviewing The Robots of Death. This is The Robots of Death by Chris Butcher. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The TARDIS, carrying the Doctor and his new companion Leela, arrives aboard a huge sand mine on a deserted world. The small human crew rely almost entirely on robots to carry out their everyday tasks, and whim while they mine the planet's rich minerals. Suddenly, one by one, members of the team start to disappear. Time travelers discover that someone or something is murdering the sand miner crew, but of course nobody believes it could possibly be the robots. So yeah, a pretty kind of standard sort of story. You know, you go onto this, it's not really a ship, but you go onto this planet with this vessel, I suppose. Well, not really a vessels when it's on the water, isn't it? You go into this vehicle and there's all these robots, and you know, they're killing people, but people don't know that it's the robots. They don't suspect that it's the robots. But yeah, a pretty standard sort of storyline and plot line, but definitely an interesting one. But anyway, let's start off with going through the cast. Now I'm going to try and go through the cast a bit quicker this time. Most of my videos have been like half of the runtime's been about the cast, so we're going to try and go through this pretty quick. First of all, Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor, very, very good. Of course, Tom Baker's still really, really good in Season 14. He's really at his best here. It wasn't up until his last season where he was starting to decay a bit and he changed a little bit. Really, really good performance from Tom Baker here. Louise Jameson as Leela. Once again, with her, it's very, very good. I say once again, this is the first Leela story I've reviewed, but I really like Leela as a companion. I have seen this episode before, a few years ago, and I've also seen The Talons of Weng-Chiang, which is the episode after this. I've actually also seen Horror of Fang Rock, which is the episode after that. So I've actually seen 3 Leela stories, but couldn't really remember her character at all. I mean, it's been quite a few years, but I do quite like her. She's very, very different to other companions. You know, she's human. Yes, she's a human young female, but she's from a more prehistoric time, and that's just really interesting. So, you know, she's got this really interesting nature about her. She's just very, very different to other companions, especially, you know, comparing her to like Sarah Jane and Jo and characters like that. You know, the previous companions. So, yeah, really do like Leela. As for the other cast, I'm not really going to go into them. I think that everybody's good in this. All the miners or whatever they are, the people on the vehicle on the planet, they're all really, really good. There isn't really a bad one in there. And all the robots as well, and the voices of the robots, also very, very good. Alright, so now we get on to the good and the bad, starting off with the good. The episode starts straight away with information on the Voq robots. Yeah, literally a couple of minutes in, we put straight onto the planet where all these robots are and all these people are, and we get a lot of information about the Voq robots. You know, a lot of the time we'll just kind of get thrown in somewhere and things will just happen, but with this, within the first 5 or 6 minutes, we know what the purpose of the Voq robots are, we know what the people on the planet are doing, and it's a really, really good setup. I mean, Classic Who can be very, very slow at getting things started, but with this, get started straight away. The action as well gets started pretty quickly, and yeah, just really, really good start. I like the robots' design and how they speak. Yeah, the robots are really, really cool. You can definitely tell that Voyage of the Damned, which is a David Tennant 10th Doctor story, you can tell that that episode definitely had inspiration from this, with the way that the robots speak and the way that they look. you know, they look really, really good. I just really like them. I think they're quite unique. The way they have kind of their names, or I guess it's more like their model numbers or whatever they are. You know, like their badge numbers, I suppose, on their chest. So you know, you've got D84, SV7. There's like V8, VB or something. I don't know. There's all these different, you know, tags they've got on. I like that because it individualizes them. It almost gives them a bit of a personality when they're just these robots. And you know, like I said, they look cool and they also sound pretty cool. They're very human. They do sound quite human, but they still have this robotiness about them, and they do really sound pretty much identical to the Voyage of the Damned robots, the Heavenly Host. But yeah, really, really like that. Leela is a nice change of companion. I did say this before when I was talking about Leela. Yeah, I mean, it's just nice to have a different sort of companion. I mean, in Classic Who, we had a lot more variety of companions than we have in New Who. New Who's been a bit crap for companions, I will be honest. Just not necessarily with how they are, but just with the kind of the diversity in companions. You know, in Classic Who, we've got Leela, a prehistoric companion. We've had characters like Adric and Nyssa from other worlds. Yes, they're human. Well, they're at least humanoid, but they're from other planets and, you know, different times, and it's just really interesting. So it's nice to have Leela there. She's definitely a nice little change, and just the way that she acts and everything. She doesn't understand a lot of stuff. I mean, you know, normal companions don't understand all this high-tech stuff that a lot of the time the Doctor comes across on their travels. But you know, Leela's really, really different because she comes from a way back time, even before things that, you know, in the 70s when this was, you know, she doesn't even understand things from that sort of time. So it's definitely a nice little change. The Doctor has some funny and witty moments. Yep, some great Tom Baker stuff in here. I mean, this is when Tom Baker was at his prime as the Fourth Doctor. He has some great funny moments, the way he smiles, the way he acts, and just some really witty moments as well. Some great jokes and everything. Tom Baker as the Doctor on full form. All side characters are interesting and fairly fleshed out. Yeah, like I said, all the side characters are interesting. A few of them die. However, you know, you kind of do feel something sometimes for the ones that die. The first couple, you know, they just die to kind of set up what the threat is, and you know what's happening. But after a while, when we start getting later on into the story, you know, in parts 3 and 4, when some of the characters we've got to know a bit more die, it's a little bit sad really, because they really do flesh out the characters. We get to know the characters, we know bits about them, even in the first 10 minutes, you know, when they're going over all that stuff at the start with the robots and that. Really get to know the characters, so very good character development, I'd say. The blood on the robot's hand was pretty brutal for Doctor Who. Yeah, there was a moment where, was it the Doctor? I can't remember. Oh no, it was that. It was one of the miners or whatever they are. He flipped around the robots are in like this revolving door sort of thing, and you know, there's one on each side, and he flipped it around. And there was a robot there on the other side. When he flipped it around, it had blood all over its hand, and it had like guts on its hand as well. It was pretty damn brutal for Doctor Who. I mean, you didn't see it, you know, actually like pierce its hands into someone's throat, but that's basically what it was suggesting. And yeah, pretty damn gruesome for Doctor Who, but you know what? I'll take it. D84 has some funny moments, like scaring the Doctor and saying don't throw hands. That's a bit out of context there, you don't really know what I'm talking about, but basically D84 is the black Voc robot, and it's the robot that ends up being the good robot. It doesn't get taken over by, I can't remember which guy the bad guy was, but whoever the bad guy was that was controlling the robots to make them kill people. D84 doesn't get controlled by them because he's kind of, I can't remember exactly why. It's like he's like a spy or something. I don't know, I can't really remember, but he's working with one of the other guys, and they're kind of there trying to do some stuff. And he ends up helping out the Doctor and helping out everyone else. And there's a moment where him and the Doctor are kind of creeping through some hallways, and D84 comes up and grabs the Doctor's arm, and it absolutely scares the crap out of the Doctor. And it's just such a funny moment. And then the moment where I can't remember who it is. I think it's the woman who becomes the president, or the conqueror, I think they call her. That woman, she throws some robot hands at D84 because she thinks he's trying to kill her. And he says, "Don't throw hands." And the way he says it, it's just like, don't throw hands, please. It's just it's such a funny moment. I just love how they gave this robot some humanity and some, you know, just some humor and stuff. Really, really good. The pacing is very good all the way through. Yet once again, like I said before earlier on in this video, Classic Who can be very, very bad for pacing, can be way too slow. Most stories are way too slow. This story, perfect pacing. We go from some action to a little bit more lighthearted stuff, but we still got stuff going on, then we're back to action. The pacing is perfect, and there's never a dull moment, and that is what I really, really want. That is what I really like from classic episodes. And then finally, oh actually not finally, having one good robot adds to the story and makes it more interesting. Like I said, yep, D84 is the good robot, and it's nice to have him there as kind of a counter to the other Vok robots. And then D84's death was actually sad. Yeah, D84 dies at the end, but he kind of sacrifices himself in order to destroy all the other Vok robots. Really, really sad moment because we got to know this robot a bit, and he was just really cool, and yeah, pretty damn sad moment. Now, I only had one bad thing on this episode, and I had to cross it off, because the bad thing was, why does the Doctor's voice not change with the helium? So Leela ends up using this helium to make the guy who's controlling the robots not sound, you know, his voice go higher, which means that the robots won't understand him. But then the Doctor's voice doesn't change, and I was like, why is this a thing? This is not good. But then, literally just before the episode ends, the Doctor explains it. He's a Gallifreyan, he's got 2 hearts. The way that works, the helium doesn't work on him. So, you know what? The one thing that I had to nitpick about the episode, and it cleared it up. So, I have got nothing at all to say bad about this episode. So, going off what you just heard then, yeah, I really, really bloody enjoyed the Robots of Death. Thank you very much to the person that requested me watch it. I went to go watch it sooner than I did, and I'm bloody happy about it because it was a hell of a lot of fun. I'm going to give the Robots of Death a 10 out of 10. It was absolutely sublime. I love this episode. At the moment, my favorite Tom Baker episode that I've reviewed. I'll probably review more in the future that I'll enjoy more, but the Robots of Death, it's an absolute classic. It's probably up there with the Moonbase as my favorite story that I've reviewed so far. It's really, really good. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.